Welcome to the Oracle's Sanctum, a channel where psychology meets spirituality, and where the hidden wisdom of the soul is brought into light. If you are someone searching for inner strength, if you are tired of being hurt, or if you want to learn how to protect your energy in a world full of challenges, then this message is for you. Today we will dive into the timeless teachings of Carl Jung to uncover his secret to becoming untouchable, not in the sense of avoiding life, but in the sense of living so fully that nothing and nobody can ever break you again. There is a deep truth Jung discovered. Most of the pain we experience is not caused by the outside world, but by the way our inner world reacts to it. We become fragile when we identify only with the surface self, the ego, the mask we show to others. But beneath the ego lies a deeper center, a core of strength that Jung called the self. To connect with this inner center is to discover a power that no insult, no betrayal, and no rejection can destroy. This is the foundation of becoming untouchable. In the first stage of this journey, you must enter the shadow, the hidden part of yourself that you have denied or repressed. Jung taught that what we fear in others is often a reflection of what we have not yet faced within ourselves. Every insult that wounds us points to an unresolved wound inside. Every betrayal that shatters us reveals an old scar still unhealed. When you begin to see this, something shifts. Instead of running from your shadow, you begin to turn toward it. The shadow is not your enemy, it is your teacher. It holds the parts of yourself you rejected because you thought they were unworthy, dangerous, or shameful. But the truth is, these parts carry hidden energy, and when you deny them, you lose that energy. To reclaim your shadow is to reclaim your power. Imagine the person who once made you feel small. What if you could look within and see that the fear they triggered was your own forgotten strength, waiting to be acknowledged? In that moment, they would lose their power over you. This is not an easy journey. It requires honesty and courage. You must be willing to face your anger, your envy, your fear, your pain. But in doing so, you begin to integrate them. Integration means you no longer run from these forces, but accept them as part of you. And once they are part of you, nobody outside you can use them against you. That is the first step to becoming untouchable, reclaiming the lost pieces of your soul. As you take this path, you also begin to see that solitude is not loneliness. Jung himself withdrew often into solitude, because he knew that only in silence can you hear the voice of the self. To be untouchable, you must learn to walk alone, not because you reject others, but because your center no longer depends on them. The approval or rejection of the world loses its power when you have found approval within. In solitude, you discover the strength of being whole in yourself. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." To look inside is to awaken to the reality that you are more than your fears, more than your wounds, more than your story. You are the self, timeless, radiant, unshaken. This realization does not happen in a single moment, but through the constant practice of self-reflection, dream work, and honesty. But each glimpse of the self is enough to remind you, nothing, and nobody can ever truly hurt you again, because your essence is beyond harm. This is the beginning of Jung's secret. To become untouchable, you must face the shadow, embrace solitude, and awaken to the self within. The path is only beginning, but already you can feel it. A quiet strength rising, a light shining where once there was fear. And this is only the first step. The journey continues, and as you walk deeper into Carl Jung's teachings, You begin to see that becoming untouchable is not about building walls around your heart, but about dissolving the illusions that ever made you weak. The world will not stop challenging you. People will still criticize, betray, or misunderstand you. But the difference is that you will no longer be defined by those experiences. The power of the self, once awakened, makes you like a mountain. Storms may strike, winds may rage, but you remain unmoved, rooted in your own truth. Jung believed that most suffering comes from the conflict between who we really are and who we pretend to be. The persona, the mask we wear in society, is useful. It helps us function, communicate, and be accepted. But when we confuse the mask with our true self, we become vulnerable. Every time someone disapproves of the mask, we feel destroyed. Because we think it is us they are rejecting. The path to becoming untouchable requires you to stop identifying with the mask. You are not the roles you play, nor the expectations others project on you. You are something far deeper. This is why Jung emphasized individuation, the process of becoming whole, unique, and true to yourself. Individuation means breaking free from the collective patterns that keep you trapped in other people's definitions of success, beauty, or worth. To individuate is to carve your own path, even if the world does not understand it. At first, this can feel terrifying. You may lose approval, friendships, or relationships that were based on your false self. But what you gain is priceless, an inner freedom no one can take away. Think about how often pain comes from trying to please others, from needing them to see you, validate you, or love you in a certain way. This dependence makes you fragile. Jung's wisdom shows us that true strength is born when you no longer beg the world for recognition. Instead, you recognize yourself. You affirm your own worth. And when you live from this place, rejection cannot hurt you. It only shows you who and what no longer aligns with your truth. To live like this requires daily practice. It is not enough to understand Jung's ideas intellectually. You must embody them. One way to do this is through dream work. Jung considered dreams the royal road to the unconscious. In dreams, your shadow appears, your hidden desires speak, your wounds reveal themselves. By writing down your dreams and reflecting on them, you begin to dialogue with your deeper self. Each symbol, each strange image, is a message from your soul, guiding you toward wholeness. Another practice is active imagination. This is when you consciously enter into a dialogue with the figures of your inner world. The child you once were, the critic who torments you, the guide who supports you. By engaging with them, you integrate their energy instead of being unconsciously controlled by them. Imagine how untouchable you become when you are no longer ruled by hidden fears or unconscious patterns. The outer world loses its grip because the inner world is now your ally, not your enemy. But individuation is not only about turning inward. It is also about how you live outwardly, how you bring your truth into action. To be untouchable is not to escape life, but to participate in it fully, with courage and authenticity. When you speak your truth, even when your voice shakes, when you choose integrity over approval, when you follow the path that resonates with your soul, you embody the secret Jung discovered. You become a living example of someone rooted in the self, and here lies the paradox. The more you accept your vulnerability, the stronger you become. You no longer need to hide your wounds, because they are no longer sources of shame. They are sources of wisdom. You no longer fear solitude, because it connects you with the self. You no longer cling to others, because your wholeness is found within. In this way, Nothing and nobody can ever truly hurt you, because you no longer live from the fragile mask, but from the eternal center. This is Jung's secret unfolding. The untouchable life is not about being hard, cold, or distant. It is about being so fully yourself that the opinions and actions of others cannot shake your inner ground. You remain open, compassionate, and real, but free. This freedom is what the soul longs for, and once you taste it, you will never again surrender. To walk the path that Carl Jung envisioned is to realize that life's greatest invincibility does not come from shields or walls, but from a soul so integrated that nothing can fragment it. Imagine standing in the middle of storms where words of hatred, rejection, betrayal, and disappointment swirl around you. Yet within you there is an unshakable ground that remains untouched. This is not fantasy. It is the lived reality of anyone who dares to journey inward deeply enough to claim the strength that lies beneath fear. Jung believed that every individual holds within them the seed of this unshakable self, but few cultivate it because it requires the courage to confront darkness. The first step is always recognition, acknowledging that the outer world will never guarantee safety. People will come and go, they will misunderstand you, some will betray you, others will wound you knowingly or unknowingly. If your sense of self is built upon their approval, you will always be vulnerable. But when you begin to anchor your identity in the deeper layers of your being, you realize that no external storm can uproot what is eternal inside. This is what makes you untouchable, not the absence of pain, but the presence of a center that pain cannot destroy. Jung taught that within the unconscious lie forces both destructive and divine. We carry instincts, memories, and energies that shape us in ways we cannot see. To ignore them is to remain a victim of forces we do not understand. To face them, however, is to turn enemies into allies. Shadow work, therefore, is not about defeating the dark, but integrating it, allowing the rejected parts of ourselves to come into dialogue with the conscious mind. When you can say to yourself, yes, I am capable of anger, of jealousy, of fear, of weakness, you are no longer undone when others accuse you of these things. Their words no longer pierce you because you have already embraced those truths and integrated them into the fullness of your humanity. This is why Jung insisted that individuation, the process of becoming whole, is not a luxury but a necessity. Without it, a person is tossed back and forth by the judgments and expectations of others. But with it, you begin to embody a sovereignty that no one can take away. Sovereignty here does not mean dominance over others. It means authority over yourself. It is the recognition that your worth is not handed to you by society, nor is it dependent on the approval of those around you. It arises from within, from the union of all parts of yourself, both light and shadow. Solitude is another key in this transformation. In a world addicted to noise, solitude can feel like punishment. Yet it is in silence that the deepest truths of the soul are revealed. Alone, without distraction, the voices of the unconscious rise. Dreams bring messages, forgotten emotions surface, and a subtle but profound dialogue begins between the surface mind and the deeper self. At first, this can be terrifying because the silence confronts us with our wounds and insecurities. But if we remain in that silence long enough, it transforms into peace. In solitude, you discover that you are never truly alone. You are accompanied by your own wholeness, by the archetypal patterns that have guided humanity for millennia. This realization gives you a strength that no abandonment can weaken. Pain, too, plays its role. To live is to be wounded. Yet wounds need not define us as victims. When approached consciously, they become sacred teachers. Every loss carves space for compassion. Every heartbreak deepens our understanding of love. Every disappointment refines our vision of what truly matters. Jung compared this to the alchemical process. Base metals are subjected to fire until they transform into gold. So too the soul is purified through suffering when it is embraced rather than denied. The untouchable person is not one who has avoided pain, but one who has allowed pain to become wisdom. But how does this wisdom look in everyday life? It looks like no longer reacting defensively when criticized, because your sense of self is not built on fragile ego, but on deeper awareness. It looks like forgiving those who wounded you, not because they deserve it, but because you refuse to carry the poison of resentment. It looks like speaking your truth even when others reject it, because you know authenticity matters more than approval. It looks like walking into uncertainty with courage, because you have discovered that even if the world collapses, something within you remains whole. The journey is not easy. It requires honesty so radical that it can strip away every illusion you have built to protect yourself. You must admit your fears, your hidden desires, your envy, your shame. You must confront the lies you tell yourself. And yet, in doing so, you discover that these admissions do not make you weaker. They make you free. They free you from the exhausting task of maintaining a mask, of pretending to be someone you are not. When you stop hiding, you stop fearing exposure, and in that moment, you become untouchable.